Welcome, everybody. Shoot to shit. As always, your boy Lunasty. Joining me today is my boy Rizzo. What's up, man?
What up, man? Thanks for having me, Lunasty. Glad to be here this evening.
And joining us today is ECW legend, Mr. Justin Credible. Justin, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right, man.
Good. How's the pandemic treating you, man?
We're here.
Right?
That's how it's treating us.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been probably in the 28 years I've been in the business, the hardest year me and others have had. I mean, this took, as many other businesses, but it took about $20,000 in bookings, if not more, right out of my pocket, and I'm sure a lot of others. And it's been near crippling, for us. So yeah, it's been rough, man. So I'm just hoping things get a little bit normalized in the coming months for every reason, not just for my reason. But other than that, we're trucking along, man. Trucking along.
Yeah, man. I know every state's different, but I think, I'm originally from Texas. I know a lot of my guys who are still, working the indies. I think they just started opening up, so a lot of them are starting to get bookings. Actually starting as early as this weekend. So it's hopefully.
Oh, right on. Whereabouts in the Texas area?
Texas, yes.
Texas
I believe.
Area? Okay.
Yeah, I believe
Cool.
my boy's out near Dallas, so I think it's going to be near Dallas and stuff. So
yeah. I did a couple of shows last year up near Dallas. I think north of Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
I
forgot what the name of the promotion.
I'm in Ohio, and I'm in the Dayton area, so it's kind of.
Oh, okay.
We're screwed right now with everything that's going on. We don't have anything coming up, and with, our governor's talking about closing everything down again, and a lot of indie promotions the Chris brothers were starting to, pick up and all that stuff.
Sure.
With everything going on, it's not looking good for us right now at the moment, unfortunately.
No. And I tell you, it's going to get crazy because, I've been looking for a real job, and that's not too easy when, you have limited experience because you've wrestled your whole life. And it's just, I'll tell you, man, if this continues to go at this pace, we're going to have like people rioting on the streets, looting, because there's not going to be any jobs. Kids are in Connecticut. They just canceled school going to school for the rest of the year.
Wow.
So they have to do in-house learning, which my son had surgery on his leg, so he was already doing that since the beginning of the year. But could you imagine all these families that work 9 to 5 that don't have anybody to watch their little kids? So now you're paying daycare, or one of you has to stay home from work. It's just going to be a nightmare. And and also a lot of people don't think about this. Lunches, that's a meal that a lot of parents take for granted, right? Because that's money that don't come out of your pocket to school lunches. So yeah, it's going to be interesting from a lot of perspectives. So, and that's my political rant for the day.
Oh man, yeah, by all means. But like I said, hopefully, because I'm in New Orleans and it was COVID central for a while. And like I said, it's a lot of stuff is opening now. Like even bars, I think up to 25% capacity. So hopefully that's a good sign, things to come.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Texas
Sure,
opening,
absolutely.
And like I said, New Orleans of all places, is starting to open. So,
yeah, well, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, well, we'll get into everything. First thing, like I said, we're from Wal-Mark We Love Wrestling. So we would like to know what got you loving wrestling. What was your introduction?
When I was younger, I saw, I watched WWF Saturday morning television in like '83. I was probably 10 years old at the time. And, I watched Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the original WWF championship. And that was just, wow, Hulk was so big and so charismatic. And I really never, back in the day, Saturday morning wrestling, you just watched squash matches, and they never really showed the big names as much, just interviews. So when I saw Hulk beat the Iron Sheik, I thought that was amazing, the birth of WrestleMania, right? And what really got me involved in wrestling was in 1986, 87. I went to my cousin's house about a half hour away from where I live, and they had WTBS. And it was the first time I saw World Championship Wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the NWA. Whew, that just changed my life, and Ric Flair, the Horseman, all that stuff, So that's what really amped it up.
Nice. So after that, obviously you train with the Hearts. Why did you decide to train with the Hearts?
Sure.
How was that? I mean, how was that drive and overall experience for you when you made that transition?
Sure. I mean, back then there was no internet at all. Internet, I don't think had been out there yet. And the only way, wrestling, it was still a very closed-in circuit. There weren't as many wrestling schools, and everything was still very much kayfabe. So I was 18 years old. I was working at a grocery store, like the baggage boy and taking carriages and stuff. And during my break, I'd go to the newsstand and I would pick up a copy of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and I'd read it and look at the pictures and stuff. But in the back, it was an advertisement. It said, "Dare to be great, Hart Brothers Pro Wrestling Camp," and they were advertising a school for the next upcoming year in the summertime to learn how to be a professional wrestler. So I called. I spoke to Bruce Hart, a couple of weeks after I saw that ad. And we arranged, I saved up my money. I bought a ticket to go to Calgary, a plane ticket. And because I live in Connecticut and it's all the way out in the Northwest, so anyways, I stayed out there for 2 months. I saved money. I trained. It was $2,500 Canadian at the time. With inflation, it's probably around, about $4,000 right now. But it was the best money I ever spent, man. I spent 2 months out there training with some of the best in the world. The Hart brothers are obviously known very well for, their excellence to pro wrestling. So that's what really made me go over there, because I didn't know there were wrestling schools in New York City. I didn't know there were wrestling schools in Massachusetts. Like I said, there was no internet, and, you had to know somebody to get in those days. So that's how it started.
Was there one person in particular, this is just kind of a follow-up real fast, was there one person in particular you thought you learned more at, the Hart school, or was it just kind of like an overall experience?
It was an overall experience because they really rooted you in the foundation. And then, working with Lance Storm had gone through the camp a year prior. Lance Storm and Chris Jericho had gone through the Hearts, the same camp I went in 92. They went in 91 or 90. I'm sorry. So they were 2 years ahead of me. So Lance was actually teaching a lot of those classes. You know what I mean? As far as getting in the ring and doing the work, like the Hearts would get in once in a blue moon. But really Lance did the drills. And so you would learn from Lance, you would learn from the Hearts, and you'd also learn from your opponents. What I mean, or the other students. And what I mean by that is just by experience of taking these moves or giving these moves and, learning like that. So, it's just the whole experience of it is what made it successful. The drills and the talking, the psychology, it all was, in a nice group.
And so what did you do in between, graduating, that training school up until your first stint with the WWE at the time?
My first 10 matches were in Calgary. I came home in the summer I had to, you can only stay up there for a couple months at a time. I came home, I got my stuff in order, and I went back out to Calgary October 6th. I think it was my 20th birthday at the time. And I had my first professional match, October 16th, 1992, against one of the students from the school. And then from there, I had 9 more matches, 10 overall. We wrestled in Calgary every Friday night. So in those 10 matches, I worked with Chris Jericho. I think he was like my 5th ever match. I worked with Lance Storm, and I worked with a lot of guys from like the Calgary area and the New Japan area, because Calgary, Stu Hart traded talent with New Japan. So, and that was it. And then I came back home for Christmas. And in January, because I didn't really know a lot of people in the wrestling business in the Northeast. Still, it was phone numbers back then, answering machines, no cell phones, none of that stuff. So I didn't know a lot of people. I haven't made a lot of connections. So I figured, well, I got to start going to shows to meet people, because your phone's not going to magically ring. And I went to a WWF house show about 25 minutes from my house, and I walked back there, with my bags, and Taria came up and, asked me, hi, well, what's up? And I said, well, sir, I'm, PJ Polacco, I was trained by the Hearts. And he popped. He goes, oh, really? So we started to have a little bit of a rapport. I said, look, sir, I brought my gear. If you need anybody, if somebody doesn't show up, whatever. So he, sat me down near the entrance way to kind of watch the show. He goes, oh, I don't think we need anybody tonight, but you're welcome to watch the show, sit back here and enjoy. So I watched the show, didn't really wander into the locker room, And as I was leaving, Tony Gurria, I went and thanked him. I was like, thank you, sir. It was fun, great experience. My pleasure. And he goes, where do you live? I was like, well, I live up the road from here. He goes, well, if you ever want, we're starting a new show out of Manhattan every week called Monday Night Raw. He said, we're looking for extras. And, and he goes, if you're interested, you live close, come down and we'll use you. So a couple weeks later, they booked me. I went and wrestled Lex Luger, the Narcissist, at that little Raw, place. What was it called? The
Manhattan
the
Center.
Hammerstein over there, the Manhattan Center. So I was there, and then that's how my career really got started with the WWF.
Wow, awesome. So, what was the situation that led to your, obviously release? I understand that the gimmick didn't really, fly with too many people, but what happened into you going from that into ECW? Was there some stops in between, or did you just go from, Portugal guy to just incredible?
I was there for a while. I'd signed in 94 and my contract was, I let it roll over. So it was good till like 98. And I was really becoming good, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others in the company. The agents, I always got great reviews for my matches. And I felt, well, you know what? I'm getting to a point in my career where I need to step up and move up. So I got a meeting with Vince at his office, and I went in there and I said, Vince, if you don't have anything for me, I'd like my release. Kevin and Scott had just gone to WCW, and I was good friends with those guys. And, they said, Pete, get your release. We'll get you a job down here. Because they were friends with Bischoff. They were really tight, So I asked Vince for my release, and he said, look, PJ, I can't give you your release. It'll look like all of my guys are going over there. Just a bad look, so no. He goes, but what I will do is I'll send you to Memphis to work with Jerry Lawler and learn how to work as a heel. Then we'll bring you back up. I said, okay. So I went down to Memphis. I changed my name from Aldo Montoya to PG 187. It was like they had a duo down there called, what were they called? Jamie Dundee and his partner. PG-13. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, a tag team out of Memphis. So I went down there, teamed with them. And after about 6 weeks, ECW had come down to do an angle with Jerry Lawler and USWA Memphis Wrestling. And Chris Candido was there. And we were good friends and worked in the WWF together a couple of years ago when he was working on tag team with Tammy. And from there, he was like, dude, come work for ECW, man. This place is happening. We're about to have our first pay-per-view. Paulie's great. The locker room's great. So Paul went to Vince and somehow got my release and free release. He basically took the contract over from Vince. So I was no longer with Vince. I was with ECW. And that was it. I mean, what really changed, the gimmick was just, I just started to really just be myself. And the Just Incredible name came out of really nowhere. Somebody else had come up with the name, and Paul dug it, and he gave it to me. And from there, I just kind of slowly started to progress with it.
Yeah, and that actually leads into my next random question: that what led to the head shaving and the That's Incredible finish, the tombstone.
The head shaving, the head shaving was just was strategic. I was going bald for a long time, and Razor used to always make fun of me. And he goes, "Dude, what are you holding on to that for? There's nothing there." He goes, if you're gonna do it, go all the way. You'll look better. You'll look like you'll look young. Yeah, you look younger. But it also, it's like you choose to do that, not like patches of hair, because it aged me and it didn't look cool. So that's the only reason I did that, And that's pretty much it. And then everything, like I said, everything just kind of slowly became what it was. It was very organic. It was great working for Paul. It was very easy.
Yeah, and like I said, what led into the that's incredible finish. Like, and can't
that
use
was
that
actually
in WWF,
Yeah, that was by accident. Believe it or not. It was a high spot that the first match I had against Jerry Lynn at the ECW Arena, the weekend I debuted, I was going to use a finish of a tornado DDT where we both pancake. I land on my belly and he lands on his belly as well. But leading up to that finish, because I went over, and that was the finish we were using, Jerry Lynn and I decided as a high spot, because we thought it looked cool in Japan. They used to do it all the time, where you do a bunch of reversals with the tombstone. So he'd pick me up, we'd cartwheel, I'd pick him up, and then like one would go backwards and pick the guy up and spike him. And we just did that as a high spot, but Jerry kicked out. And then we went into it and I hit him with the pancake finish. And then Paulie said to me after the match, he goes, "The match was great, guys. Really good. I'm really happy with it." He goes, "But PJ, from now on, make that tombstone your finish." Because it just looked fantastic, but it wasn't intended for, for me, we were just using it as a high spot. So, but it worked out. It worked out great.
Oh yeah, awesome. It's great. It's a great ass move.
Yeah, seriously, it really is. Well, for me personally, I know and like I said, I'm in the Dayton area, and you guys obviously did tons of runs through the Dayton area with ECW.
Yeah.
Obviously
the old Hera Arena.
It's so depressing. This is a little bit of a sidebar, but over the summer this year, they actually tore that down.
They tore it down. Yeah, I remember. I saw that. Yeah, I saw it online. Yeah, it's a shame.
Super depressing. I was really hoping that somebody would have bought that place, and because not only ECW, but they had sold outs there. The WCW pay-per-views back in the day. WWE always made it
concerts.
Oh, concerts. Dude, Slipknot and Pantera once came through there. So it was. Yep. It was very depressing to see that go down. But even though all that stuff did happen
in arena now too, though, don't they?
Yeah, we have
arena, though too, don't they?
We have the Nutter Center is all that's left in there.
That's right. I wrestled there. I can't stand that place. I wrestled there many times. I can't stand it. It's bad acoustics. It's always half empty. Where the Hera had this mystique about it. The fans were more closed into you, closer to you than the Nutter Center, which is just really big and impersonal, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. And back in the height of the Attitude Era was really the only time when the WWF at the time, obviously, when they came through, it was sold out every single time. But other than that, and my personal history of going to that arena, you're absolutely right. Like, even now to this day, whenever they come through, it's always happened.
They curtain it
always.
They curtain it,
Yeah, which I've always
it's a shame. Yeah, it's really a shame, too, because it kills it. It kills it. But that's the thing is wrestling, wrestling is never going to reach those peaks again. And it's because of the WWE. They just have not done a great job of making talent that's going to be relevant 5 years down the line and is going to be a big superstar like a CM Punk or whoever is like a real superstar, in the past 10 years. Who's the next Undertaker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's why they keep coming back. It's not like Vince wants to use 50-something-year-old guys. It's just these are the guys that still draw. Yeah. And I think Vince has been incapable of making guys of that level anymore. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why
Absolutely.
that is.
But for me, even though when you were in ECW, you guys were in our area a lot, it wasn't really on like our even when the TNN deal came around, it wasn't advertised a whole lot that you guys were really around. So that's not how I know you. I don't know a lot of you guys from the ECW era from ECW. I knew you guys were in ECW from the Pro Wrestling Insider magazines and all that stuff, but I never really got to see. Yeah, I never really got to see too much of you guys. When I did get to see you in particular, it was for XFactor, and I know that might bring up some weird memories for you.
No.
But it
was far from my best work, you know.
Well, I mean, no, for me it was my introduction to you. So when it comes to XFactor, who pitched the idea of XFactor, and who approved the music?
XFactor was a pitch to me as I was getting there, like kind of like the day of, you know, I really didn't know what was going on, and I think 1, 2, 3, X-Pac was in the ring with Albert. They were doing something to the Hardy Boys. They had just worked with the Hardys, and Jeff got laid out. Oh no, I'm sorry, my bad. That was the second night. Okay, they were doing something. They were ganging up on Chris Jericho. And Jericho, or they were beating up on somebody. Jericho came in and made the save. Jericho's beating them up, beating Pac, beating Albert, beating Pac, beating Albert. I slide in, surprise entry. You know what I mean? They didn't know, they didn't advertise me. I come in with a steel chair, turn Jericho around, nail him with the chair, and hit him with something. And that was it. Then we just kind of partied, and they introduced me. Oh my God, what's Just Incredible doing here? That's ECW's Just Incredible. And then we formed with Pac. And that was the first introduction for that. But no, The Office, I think, came up with that. I loved it. Pac loved it because we were friends, and we were happy to work with each other. And we were a pretty decent tag team because he's good, I'm good, and we really enjoy each other's work, and we know each other's work. So, excuse me, we never got the full opportunity to get booked the way we should have been. The music, on the other hand, was, believe it or not, all of my idea. All my idea. Yes, and here's why. There's a story to it, though. I didn't want to come out to some WWF corny, fake song. I was friends with Joey C from Kid Rock, and I was friends with Uncle Cracker from Kid Rock. I used to go hang out with them backstage at their concerts. They were, I went to Joey C's funeral when he passed away. I was real close with the Kid Rock camp. So Cracker and his brother, Mike Schaefer, who was his manager, they came up to me and pitched me a song that would be a good heel song. And when I heard it, I was like, and I liked the album to begin with, but then when I heard the one they pitched to me, I was like, wow, as a heel faction, that'll be so different and so kind of heat-seeking. People are going to hate this thing. It was just it was just more for that heel effect, because back then we had heels that were getting cheered a lot of the times. Even though they worked as bad guys, they were getting cheered, and we were going because X-Pac had a ton of heat when he used to go out there. And because fans hated him, and we figured, let's just go that heel route as well, just go for it and want to get hated,
Yeah. Well, it worked.
Thank you.
It worked. It was great. So this is a weird transition. I kind of lost my train of thought, but what I was going to mention earlier is I met you briefly, and it was a show because I was an indie guy for a better part of 5 years before I enlisted in the Navy.
Okay.
You did a show in Amarillo, Texas, and you were main against Jerry Lynn. And so I was kind of sitting in the back. I was mid-carding, and definitely had to watch y'all's match because I'd done shows with Jerry. He's amazing. Sure. So like I said, it's my first time meeting you. So I was like, I got to watch this. And you guys put up your usual clinics, and afterwards, like I saw the fire, and you and Jerry. It was just motivating because, I mean, that place in Amarillo wasn't, filled up like an ECW crowd, but damn, they were into it, like I said, and I saw, like that motivation. The last time that I remember, seeing, that look on you was that one night stand where you nailed the shit out of Chris Jericho with that kendo stick, and get the Impact players back, like that. That's just incredible.
Sure.
I guess that we know. So what I guess my transition was post, ECW folding, what was your favorite ECW, I guess, reincarnation, or like one of the extreme reunions, like a TNA did or a Shane Douglas? What was your favorite out of all of those?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I've never been asked that. I don't know, man. Shit. One match, and it wasn't really coming out of an ECW TNA, but I don't, this was during the Hardcore Justice invasion. The proudest moment I have anything outside of ECW when it comes to that stuff was this match I had. It was a dog collar chain match with Jerry Lynn for TNA. And like I said, I could be wrong. I don't know if it was part of their invasion, if it was like me as an ECW guy wrestling Jerry Lynn as a TNA guy. I'm not sure. Could have been. But anyways, it was probably one of the best matches I've ever had. Maybe one of the, if not the best Jerry Lynn Just Incredible match that we've ever had. It's just been hidden in this terrible time warp that is TNA. Not a lot of people have seen it. It's out there. It is out there, but
I was watching when that was going on, and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, it was well done. It's just unfortunately not enough people were watching TNA at the time. But if anybody that's listening, or you guys that are want to go back, check out Jerry Lynn and I in a Russian dog collar chain match for TNA. I would say circa 2000, I don't know, early 2000s. So check it out if you're into it.
And I guess another side question here is with on the lines of XFactor. So of course you were teamed up with Pac and Albert, Matt Bloom, who is now the head trainer of the Performance Center. Have you ever been approached about doing any work with those guys?
No, I have not. And I wouldn't take it if they did, only because I have a son in college up here in New Jersey. My daughter's here, she's 16. My son is here, he's 14. I have 3 kids, and they're in, one's going into high school, my youngest son, and my daughter's a junior in high school. And like I said, my son's in college, he's a junior, going to be a senior next year. So I couldn't just go down there, and live, because that's what it requires. Yeah. So, but someday it would be nice. I'd like to work in that capacity, whether it's for WWE or someone else. I'd really love to have that opportunity to work on the other side of the show, so to speak. I really would. I think all the knowledge that I have and 28 years of unique experience, really wrestled in every promotion you could think of. I mean, I was doing this today because I think it was Shane Helms put on his page like all the companies he'd ever worked for. And it was pretty impressive. And then it was like everybody. And then I went through what I had done. I was like, I wrestled in WWF or WWE, both are the same. I wrestled in ECW. I wrestled 2 matches in WCW. I wrestled in Ring of Honor when it first started. I wrestled in Impact. I wrestled in All Japan Pro Wrestling. I wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I wrestled MLW. I mean, geez, where else? The only place I've never wrestled was AEW, and I went to Mexico once. So it's like, I've done it all. I would just really like to, like I said, work on the other side of it. I think it'd be fun.
So real fast, as you were talking, I looked up that match you were talking about. I actually have one of the DVDs that your match with Jerry Lynn is on. I just saw it. I just found it. So I'm going to myself, if anybody looking out there right now watching, look up this DVD right now. It's TNA Best of the Bloodiest Brawls, Volume 1. It's an overall really great DVD if you've never seen it. But his match that he's discussing right now, the dog collar match with Jerry Lynn, is actually on this DVD.
It's a hell of a match, man. Hell of a match.
We've got a bunch of memorabilia down here. Hardcore Homecoming, all that stuff.
Is that your place?
Yeah. And when he said originally, my real introduction to ECW was the Rise and Fall DVD. The image of those chairs flying in the ring always captivated me, even as a kid. Sure. And then when the success of that DVD really took off is when I started, getting real interested in it. And I saw that hit that you did on Jericho with that kendo stick, and holy shit, I gotta 100% agree with Lunasty here. That was a dirty hit. Did
Chris
he say anything to you about that after the fight? Yeah,
he did. He's like, he didn't say much. He's like, damn, Pete, what the hell? I'm like, sorry, Chris. He's like, you know. No, I love Chris. I love Chris. I adore Chris. I've known Chris, like I said, for 28 years, you know, when I first started in the business. But no, I didn't mean to hit him that hard. I certainly didn't. And obviously, we don't even remember it. I don't remember.
But like I said,
sure, after that shot, I'm sure he don't remember it either.
I was gonna say, like, it was an in the moment thing, you know, like you guys are hype, you're doing it. Like I said, to see, you know,
that's
you
how
and,
I always kind of swung
right
the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and Jericho always was super stiff with me in the ring, especially in the WWE. He would lay those chops in there, boy. So I figure, I get one free shot? You kidding me? All right, motherfucker.
You get it? Come on, baby.
Well, along those same lines, that like I said, that was my real introduction to the ECW brand, so to speak.
Okay.
But by the time I started watching, it was already deep into WWE CW.
Got you, yeah.
So I missed the entire reboot. What really sucks about that more than anything, though, is that ECW versus WWE special event you guys did in Dayton. Yes. I obviously missed, and going back, because that's on the I think it's on the One Night Stand DVD that they put out, and knowing that it happened a half hour for me fucking sucks. Let me tell you that right now.
But, Dayton was a hot spot for us, you know.
It was.
Dayton was a huge hot spot for us, you know. Yeah.
To this day,
that's when we did. I remember.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was remember real quick. Dayton, the not one night, Heat Wave '98.
Yep.
We did Vera Arena. We sold it out legitimately. We had over 5,500 fans in that building paid, and that's a pretty nice sized arena, you know. And it wasn't curtained off. We had that thing completely available to every seat in the house available. So those were really nice cards. I loved working that arena. It's a shame it's gone.
It really is. A lot of fans that in a lot of the ECW groups I'm in on Facebook, they still talk about that event, obviously, because the obvious with, you know, the Dudleys and everything. But even
had you ever seen it?
Yes, I have watched it.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. When I found out, actually, it was right after I watched that One Night Stand DVD, because Bubba was on the DVD going, did it go too far? Yes. One night in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this shit. So that's how I was introduced to that pay-per-view. But in all, when what do you think in your personal, what do you think WWE's ECW could have done differently that would have kept it around? But with kind of like, I don't know if saying with the NXT feel would make sense, or just what do you think they fucked up on? I mean, you could obviously say they didn't. It's very obvious to say they didn't get the vibe correct, which they didn't. But what would you have done differently if you had the book, I guess?
They did not get it correctly, and the reason they didn't get it correctly was they were bringing in WWE guys. And it's okay to do that, but like they brought in CM Punk. I was CM Punk's debut match in ECW, the fake ECW, and the entire WWE. That was his first match working for WWE. And guys like that were a welcome addition because they weren't known in WWE like a John Cena or a Big Show. Excuse me. So at first they tried to have, you know, around the house show loop, I wrestled Sandman for a semi-main event and a Singapore caning match. We went to all the old buildings we used to go to as like a third show, as like a C-Town, 1,000 to 2,000 seaters. We were doing fine. We saw the ECW arena. We went back there. It's just, you know, then Bobby Lashley's the champion. Then you're giving the title to WWE guys, and WWE fans just didn't want anything to do with that. Real ECW fans didn't want anything to do with that. They were burying icons like Sabu. You know what I mean? Sabu jobbing out to John Cena. Come on. You know what I mean? He shouldn't even be – if he has to job to John Cena, he shouldn't be in the ring with John Cena. They should be doing worrying about furthering his, you know, his presence and getting him over before he's putting over John Cena. You know, so it was just from the get-go, they were just burying us like me. They buried me to Kurt Angle right away. You know, tons of guys that they buried me to. You know, it was silly. It was silly, and they didn't have a shot. They didn't have a shot. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did as a third brand, but they really missed the boat. Dreamer, the same thing. They didn't do anything with Dreamer. They didn't do anything with Sandman. You know, they tried, but they just didn't know how to book these people, you know? So that's what it is.
So you said CM Punk. Is there anyone else? Obviously, CM Punk went on to be a megastar. But is there anyone else from that era where you were like, you know what, this guy right here fits what he used to be?
Not in that era, no.
Not in that era.
I saw that.
Much.
I saw that myself because I was Randy Orton's first house show matches in WWE. His first. I did a loop of about 28 house shows with Randy. He wasn't even on TV yet. He was in OVW, and you know, he was just getting his feet wet. He wasn't the Viper or anything, you know. And we had some amazing matches. I saw him going all the way. Okay, I saw that in him in 2002. You know, 2002, 2003, as he was about to break out. I saw that in Shelton Benjamin. I had done the same thing for him that year. I was the utility guy. And there were a couple of other guys. Their names aren't really popping into my head, but guys who I thought in that era were going to go on and be something. Batista, I worked with him maybe for a week before his Raw debut, and guess who his Raw opponent was? Myself. You know, so I started to become that guy, and I certainly saw it in Batista, but I started to become that utility guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little disappointed. I thought you were going to mention Macho Libre in there.
Oh, God. I remember him. That's my friend, Tony DeVito. He was in ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Such a good gimmick, you know?
Oh, God.
Am I alone in this one, guys?
Yes.
You know what, though? I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to be funny and kind of like outside the box. But it wasn't working. It wasn't working.
Like, I guess like a BWO type thing, you know? Like maybe this will catch on, you know, because it's
they were trying to do weird shit. Like Paul was trying to write it like a skit show. Like he had the ECW zombie, like the thing with like Nacho Libre. Then he had the Priest. Remember the Priest? The dude like basically another reason for Sandman to come in and beat him up. He was a priest. It was the same guy, like a Nacho Libre thing where he came dressed up as a priest. Yeah. And Sandman came out and came them. Yeah, they had like different characters every week that Sandman would just destroy. You know, they were just trying to do different shit that really, you know, like corny stuff. So that's about it, man. That's about it.
For me as a fan, if there was anybody from that era where I thought like, you know, who had it, for me personally, and this is one I was always sad never, ever made it to that next level, was always Elijah Burke, Damian Pope, whatever you want to call him. I always was a real big fan of his. What was your opinion on him? Because obviously I know my opinion as a fan is going to differ from the opinion of anybody who's actually in the business.
I honestly, to be perfectly honest, I have never seen him work. Never seen him work. Believe it or not. Yeah. Yeah. Cause you know, when you're in it that deep, you don't, you try not to watch the product, you know, unless I was, and I didn't cross paths with him, you know, at house shows. And that's where you'd really kind of watch, you know, is cause you do what I watch the matches at house shows, but no, I hadn't seen him at house shows. We weren't on the same shows and I didn't catch it on TV. So I didn't see too much of his stuff at all. So,
okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes sense. And so, I mean, that's all I got for tonight. Riz, you good?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Justin. I appreciate it, man. It's an honor. Thank you.
I do too. I do too, guys. And, you know, pandemic. And real quick, guys, if you're interested, check out my social media. On Twitter, I am at PJ Polacco. Also Instagram at PJ Polacco. Check that out. I have 2 shows on YouTube for Vince Russo's channel. One is our AEW review show that drops Friday. And the one that drops midweek is myself and John Paz Pro Wrestling 101. So check that out. And I think, ProWrestlingTees.com/JustIncredible. Over 20 new designs sitting there waiting for you to buy. So that's it.
Perfect. And actually, for our watchers right now of the Wal-Mart page, if you go ahead and take a look at our boy Luna, he was wearing our ProWrestlingTees.com shirt, the Wal-Mart shirt.
Nice.
Luna, give him some of that.
Yeah, so we're going to get some of this right here. And in the link that we're going to put on, we'll have the link for us and Mr. Just Incredible, so you guys can look at both of those. Yeah, we'll get that going. And,
awesome.
And like I said, Justin, me being in the Navy at one point in time, for whatever reason, they had me stationed in Vermont. So I was in the New England area, and like wrestling was huge out there. I went to Boston, many a times, Connecticut once or twice. So hopefully, man, everything gets back up to normal, man, because every time I visit, maybe we'll have a beer or something, brother.
Absolutely. I used to wrestle a lot in Burlington, Vermont. That was a good town for us.
Right next to Canada.
Burlington, Vermont. They used to always they used to always have shows there. All right, gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right, thanks, sir.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.